Hello, Bobcats and Huskies. Thank you for taking the time to do this study guide. I think it'll help you feel more confident and prepared, but know that I'm super proud of all the hard work you've been doing in class. This starts off with some readings that you can read on your own. It's just the summaries from each part of our unit, but I'm going to fast forward here to the problems. So I asked you to please complete these problems on your own first, and then you're watching this video so you can compare the problems that I did and your work. So let's get at it. So question number 1 is asking about the volume of the figure below. I'm noticing here it kind of looks like two prisms stuck together, but I think the strategy I'm going to use for this one is to count. This reminds me of one of the first lessons we did. So I can count these cubes. Remember, a cube is three-dimensional, kind of shading to show one cube. I'm not counting the little squares. I'm counting the cubes. So I've got 1 cube, 2, 3, 4 are definitely visible. 5 cubes. So far I've got 5, but we know this is a solid figure, and there are the same cubes behind this layer. So that means there's going to be another 4, making a total of 9. So the volume is 9 cubic units. Next, what's the volume of this figure? Well, this is just one layer. It looks like an upside down T. I can't use my length times width times height because it is not a rectangular prism, but I can just count this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cubic units. All right, this next one. Ooh, it is a rectangular prism. There are a bunch of different ways that we could solve this. If you wanted to count them, you could start by just counting the layer on the top or the side. My eyes always tend to go to the top. But I think I'm going to do the cubes in each layer times layer on this one. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 cubes in each layer. And we're going to multiply by the number of layers in total. So I'm using a horizontal layer, so I'll count my horizontal layers. 1, 2, 3. 3 stands for the number of layers. We also knew that later in the unit we got more advanced with our vocabulary. Cubes in each layer is actually the same as base area, and the number of layers is height. So you're actually could name it 2 different ways, but in any event you're going to get the same answer. I know that 9 times 3 is 27. I know that because I know my facts really well. You can't use your multiplication facts on the assessment, but say you didn't know 9 times 3 or you just want to be really sure, you could just draw 3 circles, right? And just put 9 dots in each and count the total. And you would get 27. So it's a good way to make sure. So my answer here is 27 cubic units. Now maybe you're in the volume equals length times width times height kind of phase of what we've been doing, and you're like, that's how I want to solve it. So I'm actually going to erase this work and show you using that strategy. I won't show you every strategy for every problem, but this is an easy one to go through all of them. All right, so let's try volume. Oops. Volume equals length times width times height. The length of this figure, 1, 2, 3. That's 3 cubic units. The width also 1, 2, 3. And the height 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to solve one multiplication step at a time. 3 times 3 I know is 9, and 9 times 3 was 27 cubic units. All right, let's move on to the next one. I want to read this question carefully. It says select all. Oof. When I was a kiddo, these are the ones that would always mix me up, because select all means there's probably more than one answer, and I want to be super careful. So select all expressions that represent the volume of the rectangular prism in cubic units. Well, it looks like we have some multiplication, some addition. I'm thinking with multiplication, it must be talking about length times width times height. So let me start there. Length times width times height is my formula. And I'm going to use the information in the figure. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 for the length. 1, 2, 3 for the width. And 1, 2, 3, 4 for the height. Do I see that anywhere? 4 times 3 times 4. 4 times 3 times 4. Sure, the order doesn't matter, but they have all of them there. Ooh, look at how mean. For letter B, they tried to catch me. It says 3 plus 4 plus 4. No, I'm sorry. It's not addition. Not addition. The only time we were adding is when we had those combined prisms. We actually were combining the volume. But anyway, 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12. I'm going to mark that as a maybe. It could be. I'm going to keep kind of going with my multiplication though. 12 times 12. That seems like it's going to be really big. Where would they have gotten that from? If we're talking about, oopsie, sorry about that. Where'd that go? If we're doing 12 times 12, they must be talking about base area times height because it's two numbers. 12, let's see. I can see, geez, 12 could be the base area if we're doing, like if I look at the face on the side here, 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 by 4, I could see where that could come from. The length and the width on the side of it. I'm actually going to color it so you can see which one I'm talking about. But then that would mean the height would have to be 12. No. Nice try, though. They're trying to get us. So 12 times 4. Maybe that one works for base area times height. Looks like that 12 will work there. And if my height is 4, this is my base area. And then the height 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that one does work. Very good. Now I'm going to go back to 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12. Now 12, I know that's the same actually as 12 times 4, so I'm going to circle this because it's the same repeated addition. It is the same, right? It's got 4 groups of 12. That's same. Nice. I'm feeling confident about that. Going to move on to question 5. Select all. Ooh, here we go again. Ooh, that was a messy one. Select all expressions that represent the volume of this rectangular prism in cubic units. All right, let's check out the dimensions here. We've got 1, 2, 3. It's kind of on a diagonal. It could be the width, it could be the length. It doesn't matter because I'm going to have 3 different side lengths. So I've got 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 2. All right, that's letter B. No problem. You know they're trying to trick me again with those additions. Ooh, be careful, friends, when you're looking at those problems. Those symbols, if we weren't careful, we might accidentally pick that one. 10 times 10 plus 10 plus 10. I guess that could be a possibility. I'm going to look here, though, and I'm going to actually solve it just to be sure. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 times 2. Let me do a little area model on the side. 10 and 5. All right, 10 times 2 is 20. 2 times 5 is 10. Adding those together, that's 30. And well, 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30. That one's got to work as well. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. What? That's way bigger than 30, right? They're showing us something that's really off. Adios. Feeling good about that? Let's move on. I need a sip of water, sorry. Thank you. So select all expressions that represent a way to fill the rectangular prism with layers of cubic centimeters for a base. Okay, base. That's making me think, in my little jot, I know they're talking about base and layers, so this must be about volume equals base area times height. We did learn that you can use different sides of the figure, different faces of it for the base. So I'm going to be careful at this. Let's check them out. For letter A, 6 times 32. Well, I see where 6 is. If I label length, width, height, the 6 is the length. That would mean 32 would have to come from the height and the length. So 8 and 4. So is 4 times 8 32? It sure is. So that one will definitely work. Again, if you don't know your facts or you want to like double check your work, those 4 circles with 8 dots in each, way to go. So letter A definitely works. We're going to check out B. We see 12 times 6. Okay, 6 again is the width, and so we need the length and the height to multiply together to give us 12. 8 and 4. Ooh, look, they're trying to trick us. 8 plus 4 is 12, but 8 times 4 is 32. So B, not working. I'm doing some process of elimination here. I like to call that slash the trash, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. So 3 times 64. Let's see what that one's all about. I don't see a 3. I don't see a 64. What are they trying to do here? I'm actually going to multiply this together. The last thing I want to do is make an error. So I've got 60 times 3 It's going to give us a 180. 3 times 4 is 12. If I add those together, 192. You know what? I think they're trying to be really, really tricky on this one, because let me see. 6 times 32. I might end up erasing this because I'm running out of space. I will give you way more room on your assessment. You'll have lots of blank paper. But 32 times 6, let's check that out. 30 times 6, we have 180. 6 times 2 is 12. If I add those together, it's 192. Ooh, this is actually a really tricky problem, because if I multiply 3 times 64, it does give me 192. But if I go back to the problem, it's saying to select the ones that talk about layers with the base. There is nothing here, no face, okay, that is going to multiply together and give me 64, right? There's not even a 3. This is a really mean one. Ooh, they almost got us. But just be careful. Don't doubt yourself. I'm going to erase this so I have room. And now let's check out 4 times 48. 4 times 48. I can see the 4. That's a height. So if this comes from a length and a width, we're good to go. My length and width were, let's see, we've got 8 and 6. 6 times 8 is 48, so that one works. And last but not least, we've got 8 times 24. 8 was the length. If 24 comes from the width and the height, we're good to go. Width is 6, height is 4. Nice. That one's feeling good as well. Question number 7. The base of a rectangular prism is 400 square centimeters. The height is 6 centimeters. What is the volume of the prism? I was annotating this, and now I'm thinking a little bit out loud. On your assessment, it's on the computer, so you won't be able to underline like this. You will have totally blank paper. So what I'll do for this one is I'll just do a quick jot. These are the things that I would write down on my paper from the computer. So I know the base equals 400 and the height is 6. Trying to find the volume. The formula I'm going to use is volume equals base area times height. Plugging in 400 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. And add in 2 powers of 10, 2,400 cubic centimeters. Number 8. The volume of a rectangular prism with a length of 2 units, a width of 5 units, and a height of 7 units. What is the volume? Okay, so I'll do my jot. And they did tell me length 2, width 5, height 7. I'm going to use my formula volume equals length times width times height. Plugging it in. Be careful when you're multiplying. Only multiply one thing at a time. So I've got 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down my 7. Ooh, that's an easy fact. And count by tens. I've got 70 cubic, and let's see, the units. It was just units. Okay. Feeling good about that one too. I think it's time to draw a little croaky on there. Hello. Okay, turn the page. Question number 10. Jonas says the height of the smaller prism below is 7 inches. Kathy says it's 4 inches. Who do you agree with? Explain your thinking. This is definitely going to be one of those problems I'm going to do a 3 read on. When I just read that, I was thinking, like, what's happening here? It looks like we're trying to figure out about the height of the smaller one. So in my jot, I'm talking about height of smaller prism. I'm going to read it again, thinking about what else do I know here. Jonas says the height of the smaller prism below is 7 inches. Okay, height of smaller prism is 7. That's according to Jonas. Kathy says it's 4 inches, so 4 according to Kathy. And I need to see, who do I agree with? All right, reading it again for the third time. I have my jot to refer to as well, which is helpful. Jonas says the height of the smaller prism, okay, this is my smaller prism, is 7 inches. Kathy says it's 4. Who do you agree with? Explain your thinking. I'm thinking about the strategies I'm going to use to solve this. All right, well, the height, I know height goes straight up and down. I can see where Jonas is coming up with 7. And I'm wondering where Kathy's getting 4, because I don't see 4 anywhere. Since height goes straight up and down, I'm now thinking about what do these other numbers represent. This is going horizontal. That's a height, so I'm not talking about the 11. The 3 is straight up and down. That's a height. 2 is diagonal. That's another width. Don't care about that one. And 5 is a length. Don't care about that one. Interesting. So the numbers I see here, I have 7, which is a longer height, and I have 3, which is a shorter height. But we're talking about the height of this smaller one. The height of just the smaller one. Well, Jonas says 7, but it looks like 7 is the height of these stacked on top of each other. So right now, I don't think Jonas is correct. Kathy, where would she have gotten 4 from? Let me think. Oh, so if the combined amount, let's just call this one A and B. Or actually in the story it said larger and smaller, so maybe I'm going to change that just to be consistent. We'll say large, larger, and this one can be smaller. If the height of the larger one is actually 3, I don't know the height of the smaller one, but I know when they add together, they give 7. That's the total when they're stacked, right? The larger and the smaller. But the 3 is the larger. What plus 3 is 7? Oh, 4. That makes sense. I agree with Kathy. Now that I have my information, I want to make sure I explain fully. So who do I agree with? I agree with Kathy. And now I'm going to get into my evidence. I'm going back to what I thought about. Let's see. The 7 stands for, notice I'm using some evidence there. Love evidence. The 7 stands for the height when, let's use language from the problem, smaller, when the smaller prism is stacked with the larger prism. All right, let's give more evidence. I feel like I want to talk about, oops, hitting these weird buttons, sorry friends. I want to talk about this equation. The height of the larger prism is 3. I subtracted 3 from 7 to find the height of the smaller prism. I know that my addition helped me here, but the way I solved it, friends, is I did 7 minus 3 is 4. You could also have written, I know that the unknown smaller amount plus 3 is 7, but you can see now we answered all the parts of the question. I would want to make sure I typed this. This is definitely typed on the computer. This is going to all be shown on my workspace. And if you want to draw models to go with it, you can do that too, because again, you won't have a copy of it. All right, we are almost there. This is our last one. One more sip of water for Miss Reeve. What is the volume of the figure below? The most common error I'll see with this problem is that kiddos will just multiply all the numbers together. But remember, we only multiply length times width times height. And this is not a rectangular prism. This is actually a combination of 2. It doesn't matter which way I split this, but the first thing I'm going to do is split into A and B. I could split it horizontally. So I have A here and B here. I could also split it vertically. So I have A here and B here. We learned the other day, you're going to end up with the same answer. It doesn't matter. Sometimes splitting it one way is easier than the other. I'm just going to go like this because that was the second one I did. My first step, I'm going to find the volume of A by doing volume equals length times width times height. Now, as I look at this, there are some numbers that are obvious for A and some that might need some adding or subtracting. If I look at 2, that is a clear width. So 2 is good to go. The height is only the height of A, so I can use that. Now the length, I see a length here, and I see a length here. 5 is the length of the smaller, that's for B. Excuse me, not the smaller, that's the length of the B. But for A, I see 7, but this kind of reminds me of the previous problem here that was combined. Hey, they're both 7, that's funny. This amount from here to here can't be 7, right? This amount, I'm going to use a different color. This amount, oh, you can hear 0 meowing. And this amount added together is going to give you 7. So let's use what we know. Here I have 5. If this is 5, the opposite side, yes, 0 saying meow meow. I don't know if you guys will hear that. It's funny. So if 5 is here, there's also 5 there. This reminds me of like a part total. 5 and what would give me 7? 2. So the only thing that would make sense for my length here would be 2. Now I can solve. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 cubic feet for A. So we're all set with A. Now let's do B. I'm going to use that formula. All right, I see the length from here to here. 5 is for B. The width, I don't see a width here or here. But the width is the same as A, so I can use the width of 2. And that was easy. Now we have a height of 5, so we didn't have to do anything special for that. No adding or subtracting to find the unknown dimensions. We can just solve. All right, so if the volume of A is 28 cubic feet and the volume of B is 50 cubic feet, adding those together will give me 78 cubic feet. I'm going to make a nice equation that goes with that because it's something that we worked on in class. It's great evidence as well. We did 2 times 2 times 7 plus 5 times 2 times 5 gave us a total of 78. And I believe that is it. I did add some multiplication of area with area model practice in here just to give you a little heads up and some practice. There's not any straight up problems like this on the test, right? But what if this was a question like with base area times height and you had 52 times 5? And what if you had 54 times 6 is like a base area times height? So here I'm going to do 50 plus 2, and 5. Multiplying inside, we have our 50 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Add 1 power of 10. 5 times 2 equals 10. I can add these two together, and that's 260. 54 times 6. 50 plus 4 times 6. 50 times 6. All right, I've got 6 times 5 is 30. Add 1 power of 10. Then 6 times 4 is 24. And I'm going to add these two amounts together. And that is equal to 324. 86 times 5 is 80 plus 6 times 5. Okay, 5 times 8 is 40. Add 1 power of 10, that's 400. 5 times 6 is 30. Add the two partial products. And we are good to go. Okay. Again, friends, threw those in there just for some extra practice. You're not going to see a problem that's straight up like that, but you might end up having to do that in maybe one of these multiplication steps. But thank you for taking the time. That was 25 minutes of me talking a lot, but I just wanted to go through all the steps so you could feel a little more confident. I'm really proud of you. Make sure you hand this in so you can get 10 extra credit points on your test. And thank you for watching.